Welcome to the Handmade by Lorelei podcast. I'm your host. My name's Lorelei Erdo. I'm a jewelry designer who lives in upstate New York. And I do a lot of knitting and sewing, and this is my crafting podcast. Today is Saturday, May 12th. And spring can't decide if it wants to stay. So, unfortunately, it's very cold and rainy today. But that's okay with me because I'm a knitter, so I am reveling in the prolonged cool weather because there's going to be plenty of hot weather down the road. And I'm not really a fan of humidity and heat, so I'm going to enjoy this while it's lasting. Why do I always talk about the weather? That's so weird. I don't know. I get that from my dad. I think he loves to talk about the weather. So I'm doing some laundry and I'm hoping that you're not going to be able to hear the dryer. I'm going to see if you can. Okay, it doesn't appear that the laundry is really that noisy, so I hope that isn't going to be irritating. I'm drinking some tea today because, like I said, it's nasty cold outside, and I'm really enjoying it. It's this gingerbread chai by Bluebird Tea Company. And they've actually just changed their name. What is it called now? I'm going to tell you because they're out of the UK and it's really great. Bird and Blend Tea Company is what they're called now. I got a sampler a couple months ago and I've been enjoying almost every flavor. It's been great. So I recommend it if you want to try it out. Shipping wasn't too bad, didn't take too long. I just have a little honey in it. Today's episode is number 50 something. I don't remember. And I've got a couple of finished objects to show you. I'll talk about a work in progress, an upcoming work in progress. I've got some yarn to show you and some fabric and some sewing. So I think it's going to be a full episode. So grab a cuppa and sorry if I'm shaking the camera. I've got my iPhone perched on the top of my computer monitor. And I didn't realize this desk was as shaky as it was, and I'm sorry if that was annoying, so I'm going to try not to touch the table from now on. This is a hot mess, this podcast. There I did, just again. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and start and talk about my finished objects for today's podcast. I'm wearing the first one. This is my flamingo flavor shawl. And I finished it about a week ago. And it's huge. I knew it would be just because of how it was bunched up on my needles. But it really turned out so nice. I love it. The yarn I used, the gray, is O-Wool superwash fingering yarn. The lighter color is Fiber for the People. in Lights Through the Trees on Taylor's Favorite base. Also a high twist fingering yarn. And the teal is also Fiber for the People, Taylor's Favorite base, and it's a one-of-a-kind colorway, I believe. The pattern is Flamingo Flavor by Suzanne Summer, and this took about a month to finish. Everything went really well. If you've been kind of following along the progress of this piece, I talked about how the syncopated brioche section was a little bit more challenging because you're doing brioche knitting and brioche purling on the same row. And I had gotten quite far on the brioche triangle and ended up making a mistake and had to rip back, and that was a whole thing. But luckily that was the only thing I had to do the only time I had to fix any issues. Once the brioche triangle is done, you pick up stitches along each side, and this is a seed stitch. This is my first time doing seed stitch. I love it. It's such great texture. It looks so pretty. This is a short row section. Seed stitch, garter, and more seed stitch. And at that point I was getting a little bit nervous that I was going to run out of yarn. And at this point I was deciding, well, what color do I want as the forward color? See here, it's gray, and Light Through the Trees is on the back side. I almost decided to do Light Through the Trees as my color A for this border. I'm glad I didn't do that because I would have run out of yarn. I chose instead to do the gray like the pattern called for, and I did run out on the bind off because it's an I-cord bind off, and I had to do the bind off all the way around the whole shawl. Even the top stitches of the triangle center, because those were on hold after I had finished that section. Anyway, luckily I had an additional skein of that wool to finish the bind off. That would not have been the case if I had used the Fiber for the People yarn, and at this point I don't think Taylor has any more of that colorway at the moment. Not saying that she wouldn't have dyed it for me, but it worked out. So anyway, so happy with this project. It was a joy to knit. I really loved every minute of it, and I would knit another one of Suzanne's patterns in a heartbeat. They're amazing. I think I knit this on a size 4 circular needle, US 4. Tulip bamboo needles is what I used. And yeah, so that was pretty epic. And when I bound it off, I didn't knit for like 4 days because it was like, I mean, just the bind off took like 4 hours. And then I had this weird pain in my thumb joint right here. I don't know if it had anything to do with the knitting. It might not have, but it really hurt after that. So for a few days I didn't knit. And then just yesterday I finally picked up a previous sock whip and started working on that. But no, you know, I think I might have lied. because the second finished object that I have is this cowl. This was designed by Jenny of the Lone Larch Designs podcast, and she talked about this pattern on her most recent podcast episode, and I just loved it. And she was like, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and so I went right over and downloaded it, and I ended up knitting it in this gorgeous MCN base by Primrose Yarn Company. And I don't remember the colorway, and I can't find the tag, unfortunately, but it's gorgeous. And I bought it at Rhinebeck, so I might have talked about the colorway when I showed my haul from Rhinebeck. If you're really interested in finding that out, you can look back at my Rhinebeck haul video around whenever the show is. When is it? October? September? October? I forget, but it's easy enough to find if you're interested. I love this ribbing pattern that she has in the pattern. It's just plain stockinette, but after 7 inches there's increases. Let me pop this on and show you what it looks like. Oh, there goes my earring. I might as well take this one out so that I'm not like, although I do like asymmetry. It's just super soft and lightweight. I knew that it would be perfect. This yarn would be perfect for this because it's an MCN, and MCN should be up around your face and around your neck. It's really nice and cozy. I wore it with a t-shirt this week to work, and it looked really great. So I love this pattern. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. It's great for a single skein of beautiful hand-dyed yarn, and this was just a perfect yarn from my stash to use. So I guess I must have finished that right after this, but I think I might have been working on them both concurrently for a little while. That's all I wanted to say about that. This was knit on a size 3 needle, I believe. It's probably on my project notes page on Ravelry. Oh yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Ravelry as Lorelei Erdo. I'm on Instagram also as Lorelei Erdo, and you can check out my website for jewelry and tutorials and some sewing offerings there at loreleierdo.com. But yeah, our Ravelry has all of my updated project pages on there in case you're curious about other details that I forget to mention in the podcast. So that's all my finished objects for the week. I will go ahead and start talking about my work in progress. I mentioned it. I whipped out my Please and Thank You Socks pattern. And the designer of that pattern is, I don't have any show notes today, by the way. So luckily I have my computer here and I can just tell you real quick. I started this project back March 6th. I'm knitting the medium size, and it's a Jessica Gore pattern. And I'm using a size US 1 needle. I knit the first sock until about here, and then I petered out. So it's been sitting in my project bag for a while. So when I picked it up, I had to relearn what I was doing, what the pattern was, how to do it. But it was really fast and easy to pick back up. And anyway, I went ahead and finished this sock already. So this did not take any time. I don't know why I was not working on this. I think it was just the dread of having to do the second sock after the first sock was done. Usually I knit my 2 socks on 2 circular needles concurrently, and for some reason I never cast on the second sock. I just got into doing this first sock, and then so anyway, the yarn I'm using is gorgeous. It's a small batch yarn. It's a small batch colorway from Plucky Knitter, and it's Primo fingering, and it's incredibly soft, and this stitch pattern is perfect for it. And I love this sock pattern because the heel is also patterned, and it's just so pretty. I love it. I did knit these socks a little bit big. Oh well. What are you gonna do? And I did not knit the leg too tall because I have a fair amount of the yarn left. I'm sure this will be plenty, but for some reason I was thinking I don't want to run out of this because this is the only skein I have. So plus I think I just wanted this first sock to be done. The ribbing is a twisted rib, 1x1 twisted rib, and I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. So excited to have these done. And yesterday I cast on the second sock, and I'm already this far into it. So as you can see, I'm knitting these toe up. This yarn, I want to buy more of this yarn, more of their speckled Primo fingering for more socks because I really, really love it. It is just gorgeous yarn. And I'm keeping this in my Stitch and You bags bag with the cats. Not too much more to say about that sock. I think that my next pair of socks I'm going to do self-striping, possibly my nomadic yarns. We'll see. But it's a Stellina base and it's a Harry Potter colorway, and I just think those will be great to work on. I think I'm ready to do just a vanilla sock at this point. Okay, so that's about all I have for the knitting content of this episode. I'm going to go into my sewing segment now. I've been sewing quite a bit lately, and I'll show you a couple of things I've been making. The first thing, I went to Hobby Lobby recently and found that they had some interesting home decor fabrics available, such as this cork. And so I bought a yard of this and decided to make a little, just a little bucket tote. Oh, I've got a hair thing in there. I lined it with this gorgeous fabric, which I believe is Anna Maria Horner, but I could be wrong. Anyway, this is on my website if anybody's interested. I did some leather handles that I riveted with these little snap rivets. This would be a great project bag for, you know, some small project, a shawl, or... And then another fabric that I picked up while I was there is this faux leather. It's really nice and soft, and it was great to sew with. So I did another one, same kind of leather handles, but I lined it with this fabric that I recently got at a quilt show that I went to. And it's the Love Story line from Maureen Cracknell Cracknell. I think that's how her name is. And it's for art gallery fabrics. And the quilt shop where I work, Tiger Lily Quilt Company, just got some of this fabric. In at the shop, Art Gallery Fabrics, and it's really, really nice. But I just have loved this floral for a while. I wanted to try it out. So when I saw it at the quilt show, I decided to pick it up. So anyway, these are both available for sale. Another thing I finished is this purse. This pattern is by Svetlana of Sotak Patterns, and I used some more of Maureen's fabric for Art Gallery Fabrics in this little bird print that I love. And I also got this at the quilt show, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But this pattern is so great. I love this bag. It's a really nice size. It's got a nice zippered pocket. I used a corduroy fabric, and it's just really, really nice and soft. I got it at Joann Fabrics. The interior is kind of a gray. This is Moda fabric, and it's like this gorgeous penciled paisley design. So good. So this bag is also available on my website. I love to sew bags. I don't necessarily ever sew more than one at a time, so I guess that's small batch. I'm kind of a small batch maker in general. I design jewelry. They're one of a kind. Occasionally I'll do, you know, 2 if I'm feeling extra sassy, but my sewing stuff doesn't necessarily sell like my jewelry stuff, so I don't want to have a shop full of stuff that's just gonna sit, so that's why I do it that way. But anyway, this is kind of a fun pattern because you can, the top kind of flops down, folds down. It's a fold over. It's the Megan fold over tote, I believe is the name of it. I made another one of that style and sold it in my store after the first one that I had made for the shop as a shop sample. So I wasn't quite done with that pattern. I love all of Svetlana's patterns. In fact, I've sewn many of them multiple times. I just love them. They're awesome. And then another thing I've made, I recently was asked by the sister of my manager at work if I would be willing to make her a knitting needle case. And when I started doing research on Pinterest, I found a pattern there of one of Anna Graham's patterns that had been hacked by a German blogger. So I bought Anna's pattern and then tried to follow the hack instructions from this German blog. And it was kind of a bear of a pattern. But here it is. And actually, I ended up making her a different thing altogether. So I showed her the pictures of this, and it didn't seem like this was what she was needing. She has a lot of straight needles and not a lot of circular needles or interchangeable needles or even DPNs. So instead, I made her a roll-up style with slots for her straight needles, and the flap folded down over and then it rolled up with tied with a ribbon. So that was more her scene, and she really liked them. This, I just love the idea of this pattern. I do still have my needles in here, so let me make sure that they don't go flying out. But lots of pockets down here. However, as you can see, once my interchangeables are in there, you can't even see them. So that is not really a good case for interchangeables. There's more up here. And then there's vinyl pockets on the other side for more fixed circulars or cords for your interchangeables. There goes the needle. Yeah, so anyway, I have something in mind for this bag. It's going to be a gift for a special someone in my life, so I know that she'll like it because there is other things besides knitting tools that she'll be able to put in there. And so anyway, it's going to be a birthday gift for her. I love this fabric. This is from Art Gallery Fabrics as well, but I can't remember the line. Anyway, I'll talk a little about the quilt show. So the quilt shop where I work offered a bus trip to New Jersey. I think Edison, it was in Edison, a couple weekends ago, or a couple weeks ago. It was on a Thursday. The bus picked us up at our quilt shop and took us down to New Jersey and dropped us off at the show. It's a trade show or quilt show basically. So quilts were on display, and then there was also a vendor market. And there was a lot of sewing machine vendors there and some fabric vendors. And I had a great time. It was really fun. The food was really good. They had empanadas there, which seemed like a really random thing to have at a quilt show. But what was really great about them is that they were handheld. You could just eat them while walking around. And they were really good. I had the beef and cheese, and it was amazing. So we had a good time. The general consensus of the show from the quilters that I was with said that it wasn't as good as the quilt show that used to come to Syracuse, New York. They said it was a lot smaller. The one we were at in New Jersey was small. So they were hoping for more quilts, more vendors. Since I didn't have any experience going to a quilt show, I didn't have anything to compare it to, so I thought it was actually great, and I really enjoyed walking around, although I did feel like we had more than enough time to get through the show. There was quite a bit of sitting around and waiting for 4 o'clock to come when our bus left. So, but anyway, while I was there, I picked up a couple of things. I found this really, really great booth selling fabric, and I bought a couple of things at that particular booth. I got the Art Gallery Fabrics there, and also this teal. So I think I got a half a yard of everything. And then some other ones that I got. This is Dear Stella. So cute. These are all quilting cotton. This one is Art Gallery Fabrics. And this is from the Katerina Ruella. It's the Blythe line. And it's just got text on that beautiful blue background. I figured it would be a nice neutral to pair with something else. This one's really beautiful. This is Art Gallery Fabrics, and it's Bachelorette Fusion by Sharon Holland. And it's actually metallic. Love this so much. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this yet, but I love it. And this one, oh, here's more of the teal. Love Story by Maureen Cracknell. And this last one is also from the Blythe collection, Katerina Ruella from Art Gallery Fabrics. This is kind of a larger print with birds and owls. It's just gorgeous. I love that dusty purple color. It's one of my favorite colors right now. And then at another booth, I picked up just a half a yard, I think, of this, which, can you stand how beautiful? I mean, that is just so beautiful, and this is all they had. I was so sad. I wanted to buy a ton of it and didn't have that option, so that made me sad, but there is no information on the salvage of this either. Oh no, there is. Kona Bay. Oh, Kona Bay Fabrics. Design RFOR. KonaBay.com. So I'll see if I can go online. Maybe I can get some more of that because this is gorgeous. And then at another booth, I picked up some frames for Luna Pie Designs made my favorite bag, the one with the camper vans on it that I showed you a couple episodes ago, or maybe one episode ago. And the thing I love about that bag is that it's got that square top and it opens up real wide. So I bought 2 of these, and it's called the Style B frame for the Luxie lunch bag and the Retreat bag. And you can get a free pattern for these at Emmeline Bags. So that's what I plan on doing, is making another one of those. Or another 2 of those, because that's how much I love it. So they claim it's pretty easy pattern. So I'm looking forward to it. So then I was wandering around the show and come across a booth. It was so beautiful. She had she's a quilter. She's probably mid-20s. So cute. She is a quilt designer and has her booth was set up so cute, and all of her finished quilts were hanging up, and they were just gorgeous. And the one that really caught my eye was a king-size quilt behind on one side, and it was just beautiful. And we were chatting for a while, and I said, you know, she's like, oh, I have kits for the smaller version of this. And I said, well, I just don't have any business. Sorry, I'm shaking the table. I said, I don't have any business buying a quilt kit. I'm just not a quilter yet. The one I'm working on, I'm actually really frustrated with, so I just can't. But I just loved her so much that I ended up buying the kit anyway, because I figured if I have trouble, I have a plethora of ladies at this shop to help me. The woman's name is Rachel Rossi, and you can find her designs at rachelrossidesigns.com, I believe. Anyway, this is the baby-sized quilt, and that's just a sample using a large panel, but that's not what hers looked like. Hers was this. Hopefully that's showing up okay, but oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. I just love it so much. That's Rachel herself. Stinking adorable. This pattern looks really, really comprehensive, and I'm really looking forward to trying it out. All of her other patterns are really great. She gave me a catalog to give to my manager, just in case she might want to get some of these patterns in. So it's called the Breezy Quilt Kit. The Breezy is the name of the quilt design. And the baby size, I'm trying to find what are the dimensions of this? 40 by 40. So I'm thinking in my head that if I do finish this, this would be really beautiful to hang on my wall, a wall in one of these rooms. I don't know what, maybe my bedroom, who knows. So this is what it looks like. It doesn't have that big pinwheel shape like the king size did. Can you see that? It's just like this diagonal half and half type of design. So the kit comes with all the fabric that you need for this project, and the fabric that's my favorite. I mean, I love all this cross-hatched fabric, but this is so beautiful. And those are navy blue. Oh, you can't tell I like these colors or anything. Oh dear. So, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Like I said, I really didn't feel like I had any business buying any kind of quilt kit, but I just really impressed with this girl, and her quilts were just gorgeous. So that was the quilt show. Let me see what else I have to show you. I recently ordered a couple of skeins. I think I mentioned this, but I hadn't gotten them yet. From Tuscan Knits. She had a new colorway that I just fell in love with called Lake Nymph, and I got 2 skeins of it. I don't have a plan for this quite yet, but I need to take a break from this teal green colorway. So this will be heading into the stash for a little bit while I think about what I want to do with it. Each of these skeins is 438 yards. It's on her Fife base, which is a 100% superwash merino yarn. And I just could not get enough of that colorway. It's so gorgeous. Then I also recently picked up a skein. I don't know if I showed this to you, but this is Woolen Boon, and it's the Commando colorway. It's blowing out, but it's kind of an ivory color with some really great speckle, gold and black speckling. I have a plan for this. I'll talk about it in a second. I also got 2 more knit crates. If you didn't know, I'm an ambassador of Knit Crate, and if you're interested in signing up for your first Knit Crate delivery, I can get you 20% off by using this coupon code. And they are sending me these knit crates to review on social media or on my podcast. And I've shown you a couple that I've received so far, and these are the latest. I recently contacted them because they were talking about a new knit crate for sock yarn, and I thought that would be good since I'm knitting socks these days. So I picked up, or they sent me from the Sock Crate membership contemporary line, Odine wools. The colorway is Weekend. It's a luxury sock, which is an MCN, $24 value. And this is the colorway I received. That's the Weekend colorway. Beautiful red speckles on this nice denim blue color. And it is really nice and soft. And I love this color. It's really beautiful. They also sent me a sock pattern. And these are called Sierra Croon Cantaloupe. I don't know. Very pretty, but I don't think I will knit these. But I'm sure that those will be beautiful in a regular vanilla sock pattern, maybe. And the other one I recently got from the Contemporary Artisan Crate is yarn from Fleece Artist, which I was really excited to see. The colorway is Catalyst. It's tree wool, which is 70% superfine merino and 30% tencel. 355 yards per skein, and they sent this giant skein, but then when I realized, well, I wonder why it has two tags. It's because they wrapped up two skeins in one hank. And it's incredibly soft. And I love the colors. This is not something I would normally pick out, but I died when I saw the pattern. And I don't even know if I want to knit the pattern because, as you know, I'm not a big fan of knitting a wrap or a rectangular scarf. And that's what they ended up sending. Well, that's the beginner pattern. And you can't, this is a terrible picture of this. There are better pictures of this online, but it's basically a rectangular shawl or rectangular wrap that has buttons, and they sent buttons. These. It has buttons and buttonholes along the top edge and bottom edge of the long ends of this wrap. And then you can, arrange it in a variety of different ways depending on how you button it up. So that's not very obvious by this picture. So that's my only complaint really. But I am looking forward to knitting this yarn, and it's really, really beautiful. In fact, this picture doesn't even do that colorway justice. You should see the pictures online. They're amazing. The intermediate advanced pattern that comes with this box is by Carrie Helene Rain, and it's the Litz Beret and Gloves pattern, which at that gauge and knit in the round is very stripy, which I don't love, but I do love it when it's looking a little bit more like that, like pooling. This is a pooling yarn, yo. So I'm really looking forward to doing something with this as well. And I think I have to put them on hold at this point because I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skeins of their yarn and have yet to knit any of it yet. So let me work through that before you start sending me more. But the months fly by, and then all of a sudden I get notification that they've sent me another one. So anyway, it's kind of cool that they sent the buttons along with it too. Like I said, if you're interested in trying out Knit Crate, go ahead and click the link down below, and there is a kickback from people that use that link that I get a portion of the sale of that for. And if not, if you forget, whatever, just use the coupon code and you'll get the 20% off. And let me know what you think of it, because so far what I've gotten, I've been extremely happy with. If you're a new knitter, I definitely suggest signing up for a club, because it's a great way to build up your stash. And I did that for a while. I was member of a different subscription club back when I first started knitting, and I still have some of that yarn. It's just a great stash builder, and they usually send some pretty fantastic things. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah. I have been trying to find some new podcasts to watch recently, and there was one that I just found that I really loved. She only has, I believe, one episode out so far, but her name is Jenny Barrett, and her podcast is called Yarn is My Bread. Check it out. In the episode that I watched, she talks about designing her first cowl pattern, and I immediately fell in love with it. It's called the Quartzite cowl, and it's not out yet. I volunteered to be a test knitter, so I will be test knitting this in the next week or so. I am going to be using this Woolen Boon skein along with an additional Woolen Boon skein that I just placed an order for. It's called Dirty Chai, and it's kind of a deep ochre, like gold, variegated colorway that I think will look really nice with this. And the gold is the same as these speckles, and I think it'll be really, really pretty. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited. I haven't done a test knit in a long time, but I think that this is going to be a really, really fun knit. It's just so gorgeous. I really loved her podcast. Definitely check that out when you have a chance. Another one that I just watched that I loved is Pineapple Knits. Thumbs up for that one. And another one I watched was Tiffany of Twill and Print and a friend of hers, which she is a yarn dyer. They're from Canada, teamed up and are doing a podcast now. They have one episode out so far. It'd be helpful if I knew the name of it. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, it's called Knitters on the Couch. Knitters on a Couch. Drinking Coffee. And I love that title because I love that show that's on Netflix called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I think that's the name of it. With Jerry Seinfeld. If you haven't watched that show, give it a shot. It's so good. I love Jerry Seinfeld. He makes me laugh like no one else. Okay, so Annie is the yarn dyer, and her yarn business is called Knitting It Up. So she's on Instagram as Knitting It Up, and her shop on Etsy is called Knitting It Up Yarns. And then Tiffany of Twill and Print is a bag maker, which I'm sure you're all familiar with because she makes amazing things. She's her website is twillandprint.com, and on Instagram she's Twill and Print. I definitely recommend that podcast. It's really interesting to hear how they started knitting, and I always like the first podcast because you get all of that background information that you don't typically get as you watch each week. But both are really good. I'm trying to think if there's any other one that I've seen that I really enjoyed. Oh yeah, Drew Jacobs is a guy who knits in, where is he from? He lives in Arkansas now with his partner, and he put out a new episode, and his podcast is called the Neurotic Knitter Podcast. Really good. Highly recommend that also. So I'm really excited. All these new podcasters out there, and definitely check all of them out because they're awesome. So good to watch new ones. I love it. So I guess that's all I have to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, even with all its things. And no, I guess it was pretty much issue free. But if you're a new viewer, I hope you come back again. If you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Please leave me some comments. Let me know you watched. I know sometimes that's really hard, even for me, because I've been watching podcasts mostly on my TV through my Roku. And when you're watching on TV, there's not really a whole lot you can do as far as commenting. So I guess I get it. If other people are watching that way, then that's probably why they're not commenting as much. But if you're watching it on your computer and you want to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, go ahead and do that. So then you'll get notified from YouTube on my new episodes. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side.